Kathy Bates with Practical Solutions, and welcome to Clutter to Clarity. The clutter in our lives tends to distract us from what we need to be doing. Clearing that clutter allows us time and energy to focus on what matters to us: family, career, life purpose. Instead of spending our time and energy storing, moving, and cleaning a lot of things we don't need, we will have time for what's important to us. Today we're going to talk about how owning less allows you to live more, how possessions don't define us or bring happiness, will help you embrace the joy of letting go, learn how to organize the things you need, and how to maintain the order that you work so hard to create. We're not going to start with the how, but the why. Don't worry, we'll get to the how, but knowing your why is essential to making lasting changes. So find your why. Why minimalize clutter? Maybe I have a lot of clients tell me their kids won't bring the grandkids over because there's too much clutter. Maybe you're embarrassed to entertain and no longer enjoying your house, or you're just frustrated with the stress the house causes you and your family. Maybe you want to reduce your environmental footprint or save money by not buying things you don't need. Find your why, write it down, and then we're going to focus on this as it gets hard. When you're going through things and it's hard to let go, you're going to come back to this why. So keep this in front of you. This will help you keep focused throughout the process. You'll also want to think about setting goals. You want to set realistic, bite-sized, small, attainable goals. This is going to be different from everyone, depending on how much time you have. For someone who's a busy parent, they may only have 5 minutes here and there to squeeze in organizing. So they'll want small projects like a junk drawer or a little tiny space at a time. People with more flexible schedules might be able to give a whole day or even a whole weekend, and that's great. Or you might find yourself somewhere in between there. So make sure your goals match your availability so that they're attainable. Avoid perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest hang-ups when it comes to organizing. People that are perfectionists have a really hard time with being organized because it's never going to be perfect. They have a hard time starting, and they definitely have a hard time finishing a project. People don't live in model homes. You definitely want signs of life. In model homes, there are no functional things. People don't live there. It's all decorative. Just keep that in mind. Your house doesn't have to look perfect. There are going to be signs of life, but you want to keep it functional. And then when you're thinking about those goals, don't tie them to happiness. If you find yourself saying, when I reach my goal, I'm going to be happy, we all know that's not always going to happen. So focus on being content with where you are, but not stuck. You want to be moving in the right direction. And then envision yourself as an organized person. Ask, what would an organized person do? When you're looking at an item, trying to decide whether to get rid of it or not, what would an organized person do? Would they hang on to this, or would they let it go? And would they put it away right away? And that's something really important that you'll learn in the maintenance phase. So let's get started with the how. First step to organizing is to simplify, to declutter, to purge, to downsize, whatever you want to call it. Get rid of what you no longer need. This is the hardest step, but you cannot skip this step. It's the most important, and without it, it just won't make lasting changes. If you skip this step and just go out and buy a bunch of containers, you're going to find that you're spending time and money on things you don't need, and it doesn't solve the overall problem. You still have too much stuff. The less you have, the easier it's going to be to maintain. So if you have a really busy life, you want less stuff to manage. If you have time, you might want a little bit more stuff if you don't mind managing it. But it does steal from the time we have, and we could be using that for a greater purpose. Be determined to take back the real estate in your house that has been lost to clutter. Pick a space, whether that be a junk drawer or an entire room or somewhere in between. Schedule a time and make it a priority. Plan a time when you are not going to be interrupted, and make sure you avoid distractions, because it's not a pleasant task and we're easily distracted. We'll allow those distractions because we want out of the task. And don't just shuffle things around. Maybe in the past you found you just move stuff from one place to the other. You want to be ruthless and actually get rid of the things you no longer need. You'll feel so much better when you let them go. You may want to set some rules. For example, if you haven't worn it in 12 months, let it go. If it's dirty or broken, throw it away. You may want to choose how long you keep important paperwork. Keep in mind, if you can find it online, you may just want to get rid of it because you can always find it again. But storing it can be a little bit cluttery. Paperless is wonderful these days. You can do so much and get so much online. If you're dealing with sentimental items, that can be one of the hardest things. So pick the things that are most important to you. Display, use, enjoy those things. But other things you may say, I'm good with a picture, or maybe just you're content with a memory, and let those items go because they can be functional for other people. But for us, if we're just storing them in a garage or a storage unit, they're not doing us any good. When you tackle that space you have chosen, you're going to want to make sure you can see everything. So if you can open the cabinet or the closet and see everything and pull out the things you no longer want, great. But you may need to pull it out, look at it, make sure you can make good decisions about what you want and what you don't. I'm not talking about the Marie Kondo method where you take every article of clothing you have in the house and throw it in a big pile. That can be overwhelming. Probably wouldn't see your bed for a week. So take it a little bit at a time, go through it, and manageable pieces again. Decide what you want to keep, what might be trash, what you want to donate. You might want a couple of items that are high value you want to sell, or things that need to be recycled or shredded. As you sort, put like items together. The things you're saving, put together in categories. Then remove the unwanted items. Get those out of there as soon as you can. If you need help with that, we are happy to recommend some of our resources that can either pick them up, can sell them for you, whatever you need. Feel free to call us anytime. If you are fairly organized, you probably can just go closet by closet, cabinet by cabinet, through every piece of furniture and pull out the things you don't need. That's if it's not overstuffed. If you do tend to be a little bit more chronically disorganized, maybe you have things on floors and surfaces, you're probably going to need a little more help. And we are happy to help you, sort alongside you, remind you of your goals, keep you focused, and help you over any obstacles you face to make sure that you're successful. But if you're trying to do it yourself or you just want to get started, the first thing I encourage you to do is to stop stuff coming in. If you tend to be a shopper or accept discards of other people, stop what's coming in. It's really important. Tell that person that likes to give you stuff, I am organizing and I'm not taking anything at this time, but thank you very much. And then you want to chip away at the clutter a little bit at a time. Grab a bag, go around your house and pick up anything that's clearly trash. I'm talking junk mail, broken items. Don't get bogged down with hard decisions. Just the things you know are trash. Fill that trash can every week. Keep it happy, keep it full, use that service. Same with donate. Go around with a bag or box and just pick up things that you know you no longer need, but they're useful to someone else. Put those in your car. Next time you go by your favorite charity, drop them off. And just little by little, you're going to be getting rid of stuff. It's a slow process, but if you're controlling what's coming in and taking a little bit out at a time, you will begin to see progress. And after you've done the really hard part, this is the hardest part, as I told you, of downsizing, you get to put it all back. And this is the fun part. You get to organize. And so now's the time where you get to go buy some containers because you know what you have to store. So you may like clear plastic. If so, great. Go buy some of your favorite containers. You may want something more decorative, especially if it's on open shelving. And make sure that any container you use, you label. And this is very important because labeling gives an authority. If you've ever seen children give them unlabeled boxes to put away their toys, they're just going to throw them in till it's full, go to the next one, throw them in till it's full. They're not going to sort things out, but you give them containers and one says cars and one says dolls, they're going to make sure that only cars and only dolls go in those. It creates an authority, and we do the same with our own things. So labeling is very important. And then you get to put things back. Think about where you're going to use them so that they're conveniently located. If you use it often, you want it front and center, easy access. If it's something you use less often, you may want to put it on a high shelf, a less accessible area inside the house, or even the garage. And then as you hit each of these goals, I told you small, a junk drawer, big, a room. As you complete these tasks, I want you to celebrate your accomplishments. Tie the reward to the completion of the space. For instance, if you organize your dining room, have dinner as a family. You may be so exhausted you don't want to cook. Go get pizza, but eat on your dining room table. Celebrate. Reward yourself. And then let's say you organize your bedroom. Splurge and maybe purchase some new bedding to freshen up the space. As you're doing your kitchen, you may find that you run across some things that are broken, worn out, that you want to replace. Make yourself a list of things. Go and buy you a fresh spatula or something new for the kitchen. If you're working on the garage, the biggest reward you can have is to park that car in the garage and be so excited that instead of a bunch of junk taking up that space, you now have protection for your valuable car. The important part of organizing is that you finish the project. A lot of people get to 90% done and they stop. And this is really important, and it is due to procrastination and perfectionism. So perfectionism keeps us from finishing the task we want to do because it'll never be perfect. And so we stop short because we want to do it perfectly. Good enough is good enough. Get it done, but don't leave that 10% undone, because as soon as you have that little pile of things you don't know what to do with on the countertop, you're going to start accumulating more. You're going to put it there and say, I'll deal with it later. So if you have to call me, I'll talk you off the ledge. I'll walk you through it. We'll get through that stuff. It will help you to complete the project entirely, and completion is very essential to the maintenance phase. So when it comes to maintenance, it's really important that you develop boundaries to allow yourself to stay organized. Watching the stuff coming in, watching your shopping habits, using the one in, one out rule to keep clutter from creeping back in. And the one in, one out rule just means if you bring something in, you get rid of something. If you bring in a new kitchen item, you get rid of something. If you bring in a new article of clothes, you get rid of one. And that really helps me to make sure my purchases are well thought out and it's something I really need, because I know I'm going to have to go home and get rid of something the same size. And then have systems in place. Maybe in the past you've gotten as far as decluttering, organizing, and you put everything back on the shelf, but you know what? It gets messy again. And there's some of that's always going to happen. But if you have a system in place, whether that be a container and a label, or a label on your shelf, or some kind of organizing product, it is going to help you define that space and keep it organized. But then you also have to use that system. You can have a wonderful system in place, but it takes work and discipline to keep it up. So you want to put things back immediately, knowing that procrastination is the enemy. And once you do, it'll be easier to find that thing when you need it. It'll also be easier to clean. And then you want to think about changing habits little bit at a time, because maybe in the past when it came to dishes, you waited till the sink was full, the counters were full, and you were out of dishes to do dishes. Start by trying to do dishes after each meal. It may take a couple of minutes rather than an hour. And then after you have the dishes clean, whether it be in the dish drainer or the dishwasher, make sure you put them away before you make a mess again, get in there cooking. And then when it comes to laundry, it's important to rehang any clothes you plan to wear again, and then put the dirty clothes in the laundry bin. Do laundry as soon as you have a load of lights and darks before it becomes overwhelming, and then go all the way and finish that process. Wash, dry, fold, put away. Sometimes we stop short of that and then things get wrinkly or dirty again, and it's really important to finish that process. You'll feel really good about it. When it comes to paper, I encourage people to deal with paper daily before, again, it gets overwhelming. When you walk in from the mailbox or anywhere else you've accumulated paper, go straight to the recycling bin. Recycle or shred anything you don't need, and then deal with the rest immediately if you can. If it's a quick phone call or you can set it up for auto pay or something like that, go ahead and do that. If not, you'll need a system for your paper to manage it. You'll need some kind of filing system, maybe a to-do type filing system that has bills to pay, phone calls to make, things like that. But again, if you can handle it immediately, do that. When it comes to shopping, if maybe in the past you've gone online to shop when you were stressed, get a new habit to replace that old habit that's not so good. Go for a walk. Call a friend when you get stressed. And when you do need to purchase something, choose quality over quantity. It will last longer, be better for the environment, and keep you organized. The process of clearing the clutter is not easy, but the rewards are huge, allowing you to live the life you want and focus on the things that truly matter to you. If you find you're overwhelmed by this whole process, that's why we exist. We work alongside you to declutter and organize, allowing you to push forward and meet your goals. Everyone is different, so we have personalized approaches to each person based on your specific organizing needs. In the description, you'll find a link to where you can schedule a free consultation with me to discuss your specific needs and develop a plan to fit those needs. There's a button on that page that says book a call or video meeting now. That'll take you straight to my calendar. You can book a time that works for you, or you can fill out the form and I'll give you a call when I get the form. I look forward to speaking with you anytime you have questions and hope this information has been helpful.